Welcome y'all to another BANGover album review anniversary plug-in, The Gush. We're still working on names, y'all. I'm Scott Allen, and as always, Chris Myers is here. And today we have the lovely D. I already forgot your last name. LaRue. Superfan D. LaRue here for the B-52's episodes. And today we're talking about their album that came out in 1986, Bouncing Off Satellites. I had to look down. I was like, I want to talk about other things, but Bouncing Off Satellites. Yeah, 32 years old today. Happy birthday. And let's get into it a little bit. Let's talk about why we fucking love the B-52's. I mean, Superfan D, can you start us off with this whole why you wanted to be here today to do this episode, like why you love this band, and kind of, I don't know, just enlighten us with it.
Well, I like that they don't take themselves too seriously.
That's for sure, yeah.
But they still make really good music. They're really knowledgeable. They're making great music. It's make me feel good.
Yeah. Super fun, dancing. If anyone listening to this episode has not heard the B-52's or seen, you should probably just go watch a music video. That's the best way to get started with this band. I always remember it because it was, like we were talking earlier, the Flintstones. And I'm sure anyone that's 30 remembers they were seen in the Flintstones, which I didn't really like them back then, and I don't know why. I was more like, this is weird, goofy cartoon, like Hanna-Barbera music in my mind. Yeah. So I was just like, I don't know. But
my introduction even was probably that.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I ever.
And then probably Love Shack, or like you just realized that was the same band. Hearing Love Shack on the radio, because that song now is played everywhere. You know?
Yeah. Then they have like a crazy music video too. Love Shack.
RuPaul's in that video.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I saw that was on
like
heavy
of the video
on MTV. Yeah. I'd see that music video a lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You should you find some more time. There's a making of that video on YouTube, like the behind the scenes of putting that music video together.
That's cool.
Yeah. Fuck.
Their voices were always a big part of it for me.
Yeah.
They're even as a young girl, just listening to them sing.
You know exactly from like your first introduction to them or knowing the band's name, hearing them, you would always know, like every time. Sorry, y'all. I hope you didn't hear that vibrating. It's just when I hear them again on a different song I've never heard before, I knew it was the B-52's. It always sounds like the B-52's. A very long career they've had here. I think first time they even played was like 1977, and then the first album was 1980, 1979. We're not even talking about that album, so my dates are fucked on that first album. But Planet Caravan, like you were saying, Dance This Mess Around, that first album, super iconic, right? It's kind of like that Devo album.
And Rock Lobster was their first single ever.
And Rock Lobster's on there, right?
Their first,
yeah, exactly.
The first thing they ever put out was Rock Lobster, and the B-side, which is one of my favorite songs, is 52 Girls.
I don't know if I've ever even heard that song.
Oh, God, that's fun. It's total surf rock.
So there was like a fun fact on that when they first recorded that A-side and B-side, and the guitar player, please help me out with names right now.
Ricky Wilson.
Ricky Wilson, right? We'll get in more to Ricky Wilson, but he was he was well known for having weird guitar time signatures and tuning.
Yeah, I showed Chris some of the. I should have. Have you seen seen it the way he would tune his guitar? I had it written.
Yeah, the tunings for his guitar were insane. Sometimes he would take strings off.
He'd strings off. He'd only use 4 strings, 3 strings sometimes.
It was very weird.
He was just making them up.
Yeah,
he was
Sonic Youth style, just like, I don't know how to play or necessarily, I'm just going to make it sound.
Do you think he was maybe not knowing how to play? Or
No, he was super knowledgeable. No, it was the opposite. He was the guy that, how to break the rules when you know the rules, kind of a guy.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this band, everyone feels like a very smart person in this band. Like, everyone
Definitely.
is just a genius, it feels like.
Kate Pearson was playing classical piano growing up.
She's amazing, too, because awesome. I always watch the music videos. In Private Idaho, she does the keyboard part and the bass line. And sings.
Yeah, she did the bass line for a lot of it. They didn't have a bass player.
Because she had the double keyboard set up, and one hand was just for the bass, and the other one was for the piano parts or the keyboard parts. And I was always impressed by how she was flawlessly going between the two, right? you should definitely watch her play because she's like the most interesting person to watch because of just her singing and those bass lines on the keyboard. I was always blown away.
No rules too with the singing. But a quick point about the bass line. That's how they'd fill a lot of the bass line into was with Ricky's guitar. Was it like the top 2 or bottom 2 strings were almost always the same note?
Oh.
He would tune it and then take out 2 strings and then whatever. Yeah. But her, even with her singing too, she's like, there's no rules. She didn't follow any rules with it. There's nothing like, no one follows the same patterns. There's nothing to, every time it comes out, it's different. Every time she's like an improviser almost.
And Fred is like the main, like when you think about it, like he really does set things off balance most of the time with spoken words and just weird little shout-ins. Like we can all think of his like Rock Lobster parts, you know? Or like in mine, Dance This Mess Around, he like names off all the different dances. And that's like his part in the song.
Oh yeah, they go through.
I just fucking love it. But he has a very iconic voice as well, and it always has that same feel on every take. And he just sings and dances. I don't know. First time seeing this band, I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? Because, like you said, the guitar player, like, missing strings. The drummers just... The drums, I always loved the drums. The beats were always great. But it was like, you know, he's just very, like, a pocket drummer in the back. And then you get the keyboard player. And then these 2 people just dance and not holding any instruments. And, like, sometimes they don't sing. In Private Idaho, Cindy barely sings.
She's dancing that
She's
whole
dancing,
time.
you know what I mean?
Tambourine.
So there was, like, a lot of songs where you just, like, left, you know, just to be, like...
But they all had such crazy energy that it didn't leave a hole. It didn't matter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They filled it.
Like, no one's just standing there awkwardly on stage with the tambourine. Like, he makes that tambourine look good.
Yeah.
He really does. He makes me want to dance. They make me want to dance.
Yeah.
They really did get down.
You know, you think you said before, too, I feel that way. Like, there are many things that make me want to do that.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
So like, when you find something like that, it's like, it's really personal.
Yeah.
It's
That's kind of why I love this band so much. It's like, I'll just be like walking my dog, and this is like one of my like drunken little like passions at 4 o'clock in the morning where I'm just like, there's no one else around. It's just me, and I can like sing some of the parts if I want to, and like no one knows, or maybe work on dance moves, you know. But it's my private life, you know what I mean? But B-52's are part of my private life, so I feel like I need to talk about that. But I really want to explain my love and passion for this band because I'm just obsessed with weirdness. So the weirder, the better.
Yeah, that
right?
too.
Yeah.
It's all about like the fact that they were such fashion icons too.
Yeah,
It's like a bit like the thrift store. Thrift store band,
Definitely the
like,
look of them is pretty like.
It's great.
Yeah.
So cool.
So retro, iconic.
They really just
wigs, like what? Like nobody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just put on
it's
these
like
crazy
wigs.
big old like
Crazy.
beehive wigs, and it kind of fits in with like their 1950s type of like 60s psych weird pop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it feels like their image feels like their music. Like it goes hand in hand. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like embedded in me because of knowing about the band for so long, but I think at first glance I would have been like, this makes sense. You know, like seeing this happen on stage, this makes sense. I mean, Chris, how was like, when's the first time you even heard this band?
I think, like we were saying, just in that movie. But as far as like real songs, I think it was like on MTV and just stuff like that, music videos. But it's digging through like this album and others, you know, albums adjacent to it. You know, you hear like these the gems, the small songs that kind of get overlooked because of like Rome and Love Shack. You know, those songs catapulted them into this now iconic status where, you know, there's like radio hits, but then there's these songs where I don't think none of them really had very much radio play, but they're still dancey and feel like the B-52's and still have that sound. And, you know, I think some of these could have been, you know,
easily.
you know.
The intro song, I mean, I felt for sure like that definitely feels like a single.
This was 86 too, so, you know, we're maybe out of time where we're out of like these type of songs maybe being on the radio.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what that feeling felt at.
It's a weird turning point for this band is this album right here. It's like, you know, with the tragedy that happened in the band, and Singerlin, is that the drummer?
Strickland. Yeah.
Switching to like playing guitar and like just having an electric drum set, you kind of do feel that turnaround, because it's not like their first album. It's not like Private Idaho where it has this kind of this punk rock sound because of those drums and how driving. Yeah, it slows down. It gets more dancey. It gets more synthy. But again, we are in 1986, so I mean we're working our way out of the disco era, but disco is still kind of like going at this point, right?
I mean,
no,
that was probably like late 70s, probably. I mean, this is the late 80s.
My references are fucked right now.
So they're probably, we're probably getting out of that electronic sound. We're like starting to reach the like end of, probably new wave type of music.
That's where they'll put this band if you look at like a genre.
They're always
new wave, psych pop, dance. I just calling it dance is probably the
Which
best.
Which is not how they started at all, you know. But it is kind of where
they really. I mean, they're in their own. They're in their own kind of genre.
Really, yeah.
But sort of like the Devo thing, but because it's just they get lumped into new wave because it's like being avant-garde, like it's just the thing that you get lumped into, being.
Right.
Being like when you're so unique, you can't really be classified with other peers except for just one like general term.
Maybe you're kind of placed there when you don't know where else to place a person.
And why they probably weren't so popular in the beginning. And Jack. Jack, everyone's just coming in here to wreck shop. All right.
Oh.
Look at him shed. All right. I think it's just hard to, like a band like Devo, a band like the B-52's, where would you put it? It's 1980s when, they're finally getting their big hits and like coming out and everyone's really hearing about them. It's like, what is this? Who is this band? Wigs dancing on stage and this, you were telling me that they use a lot of like jazz and they're all very smart musicians. So they really like to fuck with the listener and maybe someone that gets the joke finds it like insanely hilarious.
Yeah,
right?
The thing about this album that kind of I think it sounds really different and it is really different, and the band was going through something different. Like we've kind of talked about this tragedy a little bit, but we haven't really gotten into it. But so a lot of the music really came from Keith and Ricky, the drummer and the musician. They were friends for a long time. They were in other bands together, and they're they're very intelligent musicians. And then they tend to bring the music, and then Fred and Kate and Cindy would put their parts in there.
Wow.
Make it sound like the B-52's.
And and that's how it's like it was collaborative and democratic, but really and Kate wrote a lot too. She did, but as far as like the core of it really came from those two guys, and one of them's dying, and the only other person that knows about it is the other one, the drummer. He didn't tell anybody.
The other
band.
main songwriter.
Yeah, none of them knew.
Isn't
Cindy, his sister?
Yeah,
didn't you know?
Yeah,
nobody knew. So he's just getting weaker. He's not able to. They're just not able to do it. And like in other interviews, Fred will talk about it, and he's like, we noticed he's getting thinner, but we just thought he's stressed out. Like we just thought we're making an album, but then I think in another interview, Kate said like they found out like 3 or 4 days before he died that he had AIDS.
Oh wow!
That has to rock your fucking world. And
his sister just singing in front of him.
To keep it a secret for so long, did he have the entire existence of being in this band, or did it happen? Like no one actually knows because he again kept it a secret. Right?
I mean, I want to say I honestly don't know the facts on that one. I think it's like 3 or 4 years though. That he told. And that was like why Keith took him over. Like he's the only one that knew his guitar part. He played all those weird parts, so he taught him.
Huh,
and that's why he took that over, and they just had filler people. They stayed a 4-piece band after that.
Yeah, in the Wikipedia, it just kind of like, and he just decided to stop playing drums, and it wasn't like clarified that it was.
It was like
how could you get that personal on a fucking Wikipedia, anyways, right? That he's dying, can't trust anyone, and he just tells this guy, and to like in some awesome way. I don't know if it was that, like him learning those guitar parts to keep this band going after he passed away. That has to be. I don't know if that was his intention.
I mean,
his
what
idea.
else? I mean,
Yeah. But I think that would be where I would, if I had to guess, if that's why he did it. That's definitely why he did it. Was like, at least this band can like keep going after I pass away, and he's on some very iconic albums and songs, and he will be known forever because of that, right? Like no one can forget him. Because wacky, weird guitar tuning extraordinaire, and fucking, there's 4 albums. It's their fourth album, right?
I think this one was the 4th one, yeah.
I think so.
And this is kind of when he got sick, and then...
I think he was sick. I mean, I think he was sick for a few years. I think he was also sick on the last one, but not like it hadn't really progressed yet. This is also like when AIDS was like, there was, I mean, it was a death sentence, and it wasn't something you talked about.
That's true, because no one even knew how to treat it. People were like, don't breathe around me, and just stupid shit like that, drinking out of the same cup. Like, no one had any idea. People were just ignorant at that point. And I could see why he would keep it a secret. And it blew my mind, because it's like the first thing that you learn when you start to research on this band. You're like, oh, damn.
Right, and
it's
so surprising.
Yeah.
Just based off of, like, the vibe they give off. You know, like there's a tragedy in the middle of this, you know, like you never. And then the album after this is the album with Love Shack, the album with Rome, the album with Cosmic Thing, like Deadbeat Club, their biggest hits, you know, like Private Idaho and Rock Lobster. Those are huge in their beginning time. But like they had this break in the middle where they just didn't, I mean, even like the album before, I think it was Whammy, right? It wasn't anything to the level of like Private Idaho or Love Shack, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like this album kind of, they didn't want to promote it. They didn't want to do anything. Mm-hmm. They're like, no, we're not going to tour. We don't want to do this.
Yeah, they didn't do anything for this album.
Kind of got lost in history.
Yeah, this is definitely something that just got swept under the rug. And a real fan of the B-52's would definitely know about this album. But it's nothing on here that you would actually know. Besides like Wig, which is like, in my opinion,
so fun.
The goddamn definition of them. But we got to think of, this is like, because he's on this album, right, Ricky? So this is like it. So this is like the last one, and things are changing. And already at this point, Keith is moved on to guitar. This is not real drums in any of this. It sounds like it's a lot of just, it's club music, it's dancey, whatever. It's fine. It's great for the studio when you do that. Live is a different situation. But this is it. This is the turning point from like Wild Planets and the Planet Caravan, and then this will be the turning point to like Rome, right, and like Love Shack and where we're going down the road. So this is a weird album for that reason, I think, because it's like, I don't know what to do right now kind of thing. This is an album to keep the band relevant and alive, and that's about it. Like, not going to tour on it. Plus the tragedy was probably 3 days before he died. His own sister?
His own sister. And it's so fucked up because I think they were with Warner Brothers on this album, and they didn't work with them on the next album. So the B-52's are all like, look, we don't want to tour. We don't want to. We're not going to go on Good Morning Today.
Wonder what
America
happens with your contract if somebody passes away. You know what I mean? If it like
voids
the contract because one of the guys
songwriter, right?
Yeah.
So he gets like a lot of the credits, but I'm thinking, and you can double check on this, like maybe the B-52's, it's like all songs written by B-52's, or do they break
I think they do credit them, like they pretty much all write all of them. There'll be some where it's like Fred really wrote it, but they really pretty much, it's like
all tracks written, like for this album, all tracks written by them except where noted, so you can go through and see.
I think they have like a Dave Chappelle and Neil Brennan kind of pact where it's like
they're all kind of writing.
It's not all actually completely written by everybody, but we're gonna go ahead and just say it was, because it pretty much was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like for someone to start making more money than someone else in a band like the B-52's.
Yeah, they never had to deal with the Lennon-McCartney.
Yeah, that's. I was like, that would be ridiculous if like Fred was making more money. It's just because he wrote lyrics.
If you look at their net worth, it's all
lyrics.
exactly the same.
That makes sense. Blink 182, all the same, and. That lead singer has now left the band, and he does paranormal or like fucking UFO research with the government, and he didn't even sing in the fucking band anymore, and he's still worth about $76 million. But so is Travis Barker. No, So I was like, what?
Oh, Travis
Why?
Barker.
Travis Barker seems like he'd be like more entrepreneurial. Like
You would think he
Right?
would have more.
More.
Yeah. TV show, clothing brand.
Yeah.
They all do crazy
He
shit.
Famous
can't-
stars
He
and
has
stuff.
to take a bus everywhere he goes, so it probably gets
But
expensive.
getting way too far into
Yeah.
Blink-182. This is I like the idea that they were just. It makes sense. This is that type of band that's like, no, we're the B-52's. It's no
Yeah.
one's better than anyone else. We're
Yeah.
all equal in this, and it's. Again, why would anyone make more money in a band like this? I don't think they were in it for the money, and it wasn't really till after this album is when they really started getting commercial success.
Yeah.
Even though like Rock Lobster and some of those older songs are like fucking so well
Iconic
known
and-
nowadays, where I hear
Yeah,
it all the time.
right, right.
Like I said, "Give Me Back My Man" is like my favorite song by them, and it wasn't like huge back in the day. I was thinking it would be like top of the charts. It's like no, in Australia I think they were like 10. And like I was like in Australia.
Yeah,
Okay.
my favorite songs are those two. I like "Devil in My Car." I mean, no one. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's one of those where like all three of them almost have equal parts, and it's like the time is crazy. There's nothing to follow almost. Listen to that song; it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Where is their timing?
They're literally just like
you're either
in
on
a
or
thing
you're
together.
You're
It's
either
like,
on it or you're not.
you know. But yeah, they have gems all over the place.
Yeah.
all over the place.
It's great to like listen to a full album by them because, like you said, Chris, it's like all about those in between songs, and you get that weird one. And why we're talking about like a weird song, let's hear one of those weird in between songs that really like showcases Fred's like wacky sense of humor, or his thought process, or what he believes in. I'm not really sure.
That's some pretty trippy lyrics.
He
He's
could
like
start a
starts
cult with this shit.
Yeah,
Pretty trippy lyrics.
yeah the lyrics are pretty trippy.
Really
too, so.
fucking trippy
Yeah.
lyrics. Pretty trippy.
How are you tonight, Clint?
Your brain is an ever-changing kaleidoscope of moods and colors. We walk to the park, but it's melting in the dark. All of a sudden your mood changes, and your face looks like a cake left out in the rain. Is your name MacArthur Parker, or is it Reba? We seem to float by yesterday's child, the new you, the land time forgot, and a horse with no mane. As we go further into the gloom, we chance upon a large orange room. A pea pops out of your nose. We open the door, and all of a sudden we realize that we are no more. Who am I? Where am I going? How much will it cost? A flash of blinding light, and we're in an elegantly appointed doctor's office. It seems that Dr. Aaron Butterfly wants to dip us in plaster and use us for bookends. We say to the doctor, no, please, no. And then we get the doctor's bill. What a shock. $16,000, and all he wanted to do was dip us in plaster.
and that was Detour Through Your Mind. Chris, what the fuck was that song about? What did the lyrics say?
Some of the craziest shit. They're actually, I think, some of the longest lyrics on the album. Like, I was looking through the lyrics as I was listening to it, one of my listening sessions, and it's definitely the longest, I think. Pretty sure. But yeah, it's very trippy. Starting it off with your brain is an ever-changing kaleidoscope
Of moods and colors.
So,
Oh my god. Oh my god.
that sets the tone for what you're getting into.
Yeah, this band always had that kind of like psychedelic feel to it in some ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They did a lot of psychedelics.
Oh, they did.
And I think a lot of their lyrics probably came from, because when you look, I tried to look up what this song is about. I cannot find an answer. And it
It's about drugs.
yeah, but I feel like they write about something. You'll find out, I think, not to skip ahead, but Juicy Jungle kind of sounds almost like a Save the Rainforest kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But he's like,
Talking about the tree, forest, and,
I feel like their lyrics get so symbolic sometimes that it's very difficult to interpret, which they want even, I think. But it's when you find out what the songs are about,
they're heavy themed. Their songs are they literally have a song called Wig. It's it's about the wig. They have a song,
right? And then
Girl from Ipanema,
and then
so
there's
specific,
no middle ground there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
It's great.
being so on the head or so on the nose with
Housework.
that. Yeah. With those titles, and it's the chorus is always the title of the song, it feels like. But like you were saying with those lyrics, I have no idea what they're actually talking about. There's a deeper thought process behind this very dancey music. There's something a little bit darker, or there's a meaning. Maybe in Juicy Jungle they talking about saving the rainforest, but if you heard that, you're just dancing at the club. You're not thinking man, I really gotta save some fucking trees.
That's a farm.
Yeah, I gotta donate some money for the rainforest. I'm not really thinking about that, but that's probably what makes this band so great, so relevant today, and so
right. Time.
Listen, this, I think these are one of those bands. It's so weird that we do these reviews with bands like this. You start to see a similarity where it's you deep dive into it, and you can start to see behind the scenes a little bit of oh shit, I didn't realize it kind of went in this dark, or kind of went in this direction. You just at first glance, first listen, you don't think about it, and then starting to know about it, you're oh, there's something even more. So re-listenability, I don't even know if that's a fucking word, but you can go back to it and find something new each time in all these songs, right? There's always weird trippy parts, and you were telling me Cindy would just sing just in that song we were just listening to. Was she doing that again? Cool. Was she just kind of singing above Fred spoken word? I don't know if it's the keyboard or what.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I know a lot of times it is like that. Kate would do a lot of higher, when they were doing harmonies, Kate would do higher harmonies a lot of the time, but then Cindy would come out and sing her whatever her melody was, and you're okay, you can do it too.
Yeah. Just match, because
it's crazy.
I always thought Kate was kind of the main singer, and then just seeing different music videos or live performances, you're oh wow, they really do just pass it back and forth.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Look at a Fleetwood Mac kind of situation where it's who the hell knows who Christine McVie is?
Yeah, you're right. It's
nobody cares, but Stevie Nicks, now let me tell you, she's on stamps. You know what I mean? B-52's were no, we're in this together, we're sisters.
Right. Well, maybe with that Stevie Nicks is her solo career was pretty good too, and I'm not sure about the other.
She was already in the band though. Stevie Nicks joined the band. She wasn't even in the original.
Stevie Nicks was someone that cleaned the studio, and Fleetwood Mac was going through hell with breakups and turnarounds with people, and it was just falling apart, and she was just in the studio helping out.
Yeah, she was obsessed.
I can sing harmonies, and
she's
then just
all of it. That's how you have to be like that.
I'm just blown away by their super high octave range. You
Yeah.
said, not classically trained singers. Like, where did you get this? Just born with it, I guess.
And they're so like their voices are so youthful. That's something else that I've like you can usually see in singers like listen to someone like Aretha Franklin, who's continued to be amazing throughout her life. She was, but you can hear like generations. You can hear when she's young, and you can hear when she's older. Etta James, man, oh my God, she's almost growling at you by the end. You know, but not that like I don't know if they just took like very good care of themselves. They're very healthy people. I don't know, but they still sound like they can still hit the same notes. They sound amazing.
Cindy still shattering fucking glass windows.
She left the band for a while.
Oh, I thought you always hear like stupid ass rumors and stuff, and that's what I always heard about like this tragedy in this band. It was like, yeah, drugs. He died from a drug overdose, and that's
No,
And it was
oh,
like,
sick.
no, but that's always the case.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard that so many times. Where, again, off topic, that guy from Johnny Pool, everyone's like, yeah, he died from drugs. I'm like, no, he had a bad heart. He had a bad heart when he first started the band. He knew he was gonna die, and everyone's like, no, he OD'd. And I'm like, he fucking didn't OD. Again, Rick, AIDS. Most people just say
Yeah.
drugs, but again, this is where like I heard she was a heroin addict. She used to do a lot of drugs, and that's why she left the band.
Oh my gosh,
Probably
they were
not the
just
case,
so
right?
not that band.
Yeah.
That's
What
look
I
at
was
them.
like,
Oh my God, they just
seriously?
murdered people. No, oh my gosh. I mean, she stayed in the band. I want to say for like maybe a year, maybe just under a year or something, and then she left for I think she came back for a Cosmic Thing. That's when she came back, Love Shack. And they toured with another woman. Her name's Julie Cruz. I watched some videos. She's awesome. She did
Well,
great.
pick up those parts.
I
yeah.
mean, talk about trying to fill someone's space. Like that is a
Yeah,
unique voice.
real.
That's a unique,
Yeah.
And to her, like she did great. But so that's where there's like on Wikipedia it says that she left to raise a family.
Yeah, just all this speculation.
And then there's an interview though with the band on MTV where who like Keith Strickland does not talk a lot. Like you almost never hear him talk, but he did, and he said that Cindy said that she's like, I've been a B-52 my whole life. I just got to do something else for a while, which sounds a lot like a reaction, you know, to that.
Yeah, her brother passing away
Yeah.
and knowing 3 days prior. Plus,
Yeah,
this was
I mean,
everything.
how do you just,
yeah,
like,
they built
get
this
on
band.
stage,
You know what I
like-
mean? Exactly. How do you get up there and perform those songs that your brother wrote, and it's just bringing up
Yeah.
those memories
And brought
I mean,
you into it.
Yeah.
That he like
has to
that's
be
how they grew
hard.
up. Like he would bring music to her and be like, Cindy, sing this. She honestly like he put that in her to be a musician. I mean it in that I'm sure it would come it sounds like it would have come to her naturally. She's a great singer.
Yeah.
But you know, having an older brother do that, like
Yeah.
it just
Heavy
like
influence.
he put that
Yeah.
he heavily influenced her.
He's
music.
like, I can't sing this part, but I think you can.
I think you
I wrote
can.
some
Yeah.
music, and I think you should check it out. He sounds like a genius, just writing music.
A lot of people
It
say he
just-
was.
Yeah, I mean that tuning style, like that has to be like something. Chris, you being a guitar player, like would probably fascinated with right now, and probably want to deep dive a little bit more and just like why and how and.
I think it was like you're saying,
Try it out.
like taking it kind of goes to either you're not needing it, it's not a necessity, so you can take them out. Like with Max from Sepultura, he's not necessarily doesn't solo, so why have those there?
Sure.
If the guitar is mainly using these bottom strings, but then you're keeping the top ones up to keep the bass line, and that's really all you're kind of using is that. Not that middle section, those two. You know, if you're not even playing those, then why have them there? I mean, your guitar tech is just in the back setting up some strings that aren't even going to get used.
Yeah.
So
Plus, they're just making weird songs and not having a bass player in the beginning. Going into a record studio and a fucking record studio like fucking Warner Brothers would probably be like, you all need a bass player. And it's like, no, we don't do bass player. You know, it's like, no, you all need a bass player. But correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he play bass sometimes too, just on certain songs where it was just, or is it just a weird wacky guitar setup every time?
well, I'm not sure if he played bass. I mean, a lot of these tunings are pretty low. Like he's got C tuning for Rock Lobster, which is, you know, that's why it sounds so like heavy and like
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
and
like
the-
some stoner shit.
But then like every bottom, his two bottom, he's usually taking out one of the middle strings, if not both of them, and then he's tuning both bottom strings to the same tuning. So with that, you kind of get that.
Looking at it.
You kind of get that Sonic Youth. That's like what they're doing. Where it's
X.
like you have a guitar that literally only it's got 6 strings on it, but maybe like the top 2 are the same, the next 2 are the same, and those 2 are the same, and you kind of get this like this harp sort of sound, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, especially if it depends on the guitar strings you're using. So imagine if you have like different guitar thickness strings, like you're not adjusting your strings for that, you're just using like normal strings and then doing these weird tunings, you're probably getting like a weird harp sort of like chorus sound, because it's not the same, it's not gonna have that same like resonance and oomph, even though it's the same tuning. It'd be like you had like a really thin banjo string playing a C, a really low C, or you have like a really thick bass string playing a low C. The same, there's, you know what I mean? It's gonna sound different. And if you had both of them going at the same time, that's gonna sound really like thick and like kind of harmonize with each other in a way, even though they're the same note.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Different octaves, I guess, or
I'm saying even if it was in the same octave, it's gonna be like, it's just having that thickness, the resonance, if it's a thicker chord, a thicker string, it's not gonna flop around as much. It's gonna be real tight.
Kind of almost like equating it, I think, maybe to like what we were saying about Cindy and Kate's voices being so similar that it
yes.
almost sounds like one voice. Like when me and this girl would be
Good way of
listening
putting
to
it.
this music, there'd be times where it was like, I don't even know if they're singing unison, and like I can't even tell. I
Right.
can't even tell if it's a unison or a harmony because they're so similar.
that's why I was blown away when Chris was telling me, he's like, yeah, she's in a B-52's cover band. I was like, just stop the car immediately. Just,
For a
I said,
very-
what? No. How do you do that? How do you?
They were cool. They still play.
Does it seem like it would be? It just seems like it would be really hard. It's a really hard cover band to.
It was difficult
perform these,
music.
right?
I mean, they were in the band for a while. They were in the band for like a year, and then I joined the band and was there for like 6 months. And I was like, I don't remember if I was the 3rd or 4th singer that they had already had. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
a cover
hard.
band.
It is
It's a cover
hard
band,
music,
yeah.
but also like you have to get these people have to be able to harmonize well together. The harmonies are like, you have to work so much together to
And
get
it's a
them
performance
right.
band. Not only it's
And
like
energy means so much.
if you're in a cover band and it's just like a regular like rock band,
Yeah,
you just gotta
you're
stand
Leonard
up there and
Skinner,
play your
you don't
shit.
have to do
But
much.
Their
if,
Fred
if
Schneider's
you're
great though.
if you are B-52's or Devo, there's like something you need to bring something else besides the music
Yeah.
to the table. You need to bring the look.
You can't be a B-52's cover band just wearing like jeans and a shirt.
Yeah.
Like, no, you have
It
to
was like
dress
so
the
much
part, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Wear the wigs, fucking, and not only that, sing. You had to do Cindy's
Yeah.
part. Like, I can't even imagine. Just
I sang a lot of Kate's parts.
so yeah,
like-
you were telling me you were kind of like switching back and forth between the two.
they. But yeah, no, it was really fun. It's fun music to sing.
Was there like, what was the setup? Because it was a drummer, guitar player, and a bass player, right?
Yeah.
So they had to have
And then
that
3
for the
singers.
cover
They
band.
did, yeah. And he
That
would
makes
like
sense.
switch guitars a lot, because he didn't just like. I just remember he'd have like 3 guitars on stage with him and just be like, okay, for these songs, and we need the set list would need to be made according to how his guitars would be tuned.
Yeah, that
because
sounds
they
about right.
weren't like
That-
doing.
yeah. And like I'm sure they did the same thing, but like Sonic Youth, they would have the tunings written next to the songs to know what guitar to grab, so that way you're not, you know what I mean? Like your guitars are laid out in such a way like for the set. Like,
Yeah, again,
And with-
a really hard cover band. Like, you have to like find out what this guy was doing on guitar, and then you're like looking at what you just showed me, and you're like, wait a minute, I have to do what now?
And if
I have
all
to
these
chop
main
off
songs,
strings?
yeah, like
He was a really good guitar player.
you need to
Yeah.
bring, you need to bring multiple
Amazing.
guitars or like
They're all great musicians. Yeah.
I mean, I was like, if they ever need a drummer, let me know. I want to get in there. Fucking
Oh.
dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I was just thinking we were talking about the guitar parts, and I was just immediately, it's the beginning of Private Idaho.
That's
Because,
what. Yeah.
Was he upstroke on that?
I was gonna ask about.
Yeah, it's like, oh, dude, so cool. And then what's her face coming in with the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was my part. Yeah,
Just
so much
dancing.
fun. All those
I
like.
fucking love this song.
I have to say, like, one thing this band did for me was make me so comfortable because I had to make so many animal noises and sounds, and it's just like, no, just like, can you make it more like a baby whining as the same time as crying, like, and laughing at the same time?
Yeah.
Can you sound more like a narwhal? What does that sound like?
Yeah, can I get a reference?
Yeah.
They seem like geniuses, the people that started this cover band, to be like, this is where we need a hit to get this. Like, I didn't get to see you guys perform, which...
They still play.
Does it sound... Chris, did you ever see it? Was it
Yeah, it was
amazing?
great.
It was amazing?
Fresh
Dead on?
Corbin, he's amazing.
Does that guy have that same voice?
Oh my god.
You got to have the voice and the
He's so
personality.
great.
So.
He's-
I just want to see that
he
and the
too
dancing.
is like a great. And anyway, yeah, they're all great. But I think the thing I was asking about the guitar thing was like, how would that work now? Because you mentioned there's not like a ton of guitar solos. Now, so now you know that he had like a very strange guitar tuning.
That's
like,
probably, I guess, why he wasn't like going
just going
crazy.
because he could. Like he had
Probably,
the
yeah.
ability to do it.
But if you're not, and
I think he's just serving the song.
they never
Yeah.
even
Song, you
never
know?
toured
This
this
is what it's
album,
about.
right? So we never got a chance to see what actually took place on stage. Like whenever solos did have, I mean, I can't even think of a B-52 song that has a solo off the top of my head that's like iconic. You know what I mean?
Did he play solos?
That's what I'm getting at. Like I don't know
Right?
what they
yeah,
did
well, that's
live.
where, like with that weird guitar, like
Can't really, I guess, do solos,
the
but
4 strings on there.
all the
Yeah.
riffs that he played kind of sound like a solo because it
Right.
just sounded like its own part in the song, where it's just like,
But he's going
Like
off
another
on this
voice,
album.
like
Yeah,
another
exactly.
vocal line.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, all the guitar parts on this are just as crazy and is like interesting. To really sit down and listen to each part individually, you're like, whoa, this is fucking crazy. But all together, you're like, oh, this is just a really good song you can dance
Yeah.
to, you know what I mean? And then you start breaking it down, you're like, whoa, that's some weird timing.
Yeah,
like
what
on
the
the
drums are
muscle,
doing
yeah.
are weird. With like everybody's doing, it's dancey when it all comes together. But when you break down each piece, you're like, whoa, everybody's doing different things.
It
That
seems
is,
like there's a lot of overdubbing, especially like on maybe this album more so than other albums, just like layering, like adding in like little fucking tambourine sound just like right there. Or I'm sure they did weird shit.
They were
like
having fun.
Tap on the side of a
that,
wall to get a
detour
certain
through your
sound.
mind. That weird phase effect that's going on in the chorus or whatever. That
Yeah, what is that,
that-
theremin? No.
I don't know if it's a theremin, but I just mean that weird, like it sounds like you're going through a tunnel or something, like a weird warp hole, like the way they're playing with the
Isn't it-
soundscape of everything, you know.
Yeah.
Isn't Give Me Back, My Man, aren't they like, is there like a saw or something? Like,
There's
or
this
like a
weird sound of like something
They do
breaking
that
in the
a lot.
background, like someone's clapping. It's like pop, 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 pop. And it's like coming in. It's not the drums, but it sounds like it would be this drum beat. But I had noticed
Okay.
it's like Kate on the keyboard. So she's making these weird like.
So cool.
It sounds like sheet metal popping. It's like.
Okay.
Right? That's the only way I can describe it. But there's all that weird timing for that as well, where I'm just like, what is that?
I love that, like, even their music is like, okay, these are a bunch of, like, kids that
Yeah.
are, like, you know,
Well,
just, like, from...
I was listening to an interview with Kate, and they were talking about, I think the first time they jammed, and it was like on her farm, and she had like a bunch of property, and they had these cows, and when they were
I
playing,
love this story.
that the cows just surrounded them
Oh my
because they thought they were a trough, like a feeding trough, and just started banging their heads up and down, all the cows simultaneously, and they were like, "It's a sign, it's a sign."
And I love
Yeah.
to
Oh
think
my
about how
gosh.
many mushrooms they ate before.
Yeah.
The cows did not circle them and bop their heads.
Did
in
you
rhythms.
hear how they got their band name? It was like, what was it? Keith said he had a dream that someone came up. He was listening to their
Yeah.
music, and this guy came up and he was like, "Do you know what this band's called? They're called the B-52's." And someone whispered that into his ear, and he
In a
woke
dream.
up. That's where he said he came up with it. I don't know how much is bullshit. Like,
I know, he's like definitely, he's that kind of guy. He's so funny where he will just lie to your face and think it's funny.
that's what I'm thinking,
Like,
right?
Like,
The snarky bastard.
There's this funny interview of them in a car where they just keep going. He's like, that's where we played Rock Lobster for the first time. And they're like, no, it's not. But he did it so many times, and that's where Cindy got married. And she's like, no, it isn't.
Just lying. I mean, it really does. I think it's super clever. It builds up your mythos about them.
Yeah, right?
It really makes the B-52's this like mythological type band. It's this weird. It's just you're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
so they're kind of
magic.
like playing a character in some ways, but at the same time, this is definitely who they are in real life.
Yeah,
So-
totally. Kate has a bed and breakfast where I'm from, up in upstate New York, like right where I'm from, like 45 minutes away. That's what she does now. Her and
Bed and
her
breakfast.
wife have a bed and breakfast.
I
And
would,
it's so cool.
yeah.
It looks B-52's. It is so cool.
Go
It's so
stay.
mod. It's so retro. And it's beautiful. It's like in the Catskill Mountains.
I'm thinking like 1960s futuristic.
Totally looks
Yeah.
like it's like the
Yeah.
Jetsons and like Back to the Future.
All
like
the
when he-
appliances are all
Those
crazy. retro.
those
Like old
cartoons
diners.
like the way of the future. You ever see these cartoons? And
Yeah.
they would tell you about like future technologies, and this is like 1960s, and so they're just
The
going to these-
microwave.
yeah, and like cars that are like super high advanced, and like it's supposed to be super funny, but that's how I kind of feel like they're kind of like using 1960s future technology, right? A microwave, like you said.
Yeah.
It's like it's new. It's like no, we've always had these things. But I do like that aesthetic though, and
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
it kind of always did have this aesthetic to where you're thinking like Stepford housewife kind of feel. I don't know. It's just that vintage dress.
Yeah, yeah.
That up and
Very
down, yeah.
mod. Like very.
I have to go to this bed and breakfast though. It sounds amazing. I
Kate's
feel
Lazy
yeah.
Meadow.
It's called Kate's Lazy Meadow.
Yeah.
That's a good title.
Yeah.
That's good.
It
That is
looks great.
Really fucking. So let's get into another song. Again, I really feel like this is like
I love
their
this
song, right? This is like their song. It's like this is who we are. Wigs.
Yeah. it's
we wear
a
wigs.
song.
Come on, grab a wig, silly. Put it on.
What's that on your head? What's that on your head? I say, what's that on your head? What's that on your head? Dad's got a wig. Red's got a cheap toupee. We all got wigs, so
love it. Listen to it every day. I could. It reminds me of why I like the B-52's. They're fun, and it just makes me smile, and it's something I can put on, and it doesn't feel like it's taking itself too seriously. It's just always like the whole reason why I like to play music is just sometimes it could just be fun. There's no agenda behind this, right? Especially this song. What do you think this song was about? I think it was about them wearing wigs. I'm just gonna go out and say it, right? Just having fun. Like I was telling Chris, it feels like a montage. Like that song could be like a total montage clip, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like I would love to see the music video they would have made for this, because it would have just been super fun, and them just being the B-52's
Wearing
wacky.
different wigs, like alternating.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Like one of those slides.
I want to go into a wig shop and just put that on and be like, I'm here to try on wigs. I'm here to try on some wigs. I've been actually wanting to do that just to see what it would look like with, shorter hair. Is anyone else curious?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So when you were in the cover band, did you have to buy your own wigs? I know they're not cheap.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, and I mean, God, that was so fun though, and the costumes and stuff.
Did you switch costumes like in between the set? Or
We always
was
talked about it, but no.
Yeah. Stuck with it. Yeah.
Fun.
Does the B-52's do that? Do they like
God, I don't
costume
know.
change, or are they just always
Fred
like that?
does. That guy wears. I mean, that guy wears 12 different things
Just
in an
runs
hour.
off stage, comes backwards.
So great, wigs and everything. Oh, that guy.
Again,
Special human.
just some songs where he doesn't have any vocal parts on. He'll just sit there and dance, like he's possessed by a demon, and just, I don't know. They're good dancers, all of them. Even like Fred's savageness of dancing, like in my opinion, because it's just like in the song "Give Me Back My Man." Like he doesn't do anything, so there's a music video for it, and he just tambourine shaking like a crazy son of a bitch the whole time. And the camera keeps panning to him, and it's like he doesn't really do anything besides for that, but it really does make the song so much. It makes it fun.
Yeah.
Because the whole song has this like underline, and it's something like kind of serious. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
And like,
at least you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like he kind of brings it back to like when you see, like if you watch live performances of that song, or like when we would play that song, people like it, that song, and I feel like a lot of their music is like this too, where it almost like what it sounds like and the way people react to it almost don't coincide, where people are dancing like crazy to that song.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, and it is like one of their ballads almost.
In a way, but
it's like a slow
that guitar part,
heartbreak
that
song.
drum part, it really keeps it driving.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Because that drum part is like just 4 on the floor. It keeps it like very kind of punk rock and keeping it right there with it. And that cool fucking guitar part, whatever, it sounds like a bass to me, but again, he's just weird tuning, weird strings. That's why I was like, did he switch to bass on some songs? But again, I'm just now finding out this guy's a fucking genius psycho. And then you have, Kate like just doing weird sound effects on the keyboard a little bit, and then her vocal part, it seems so.
And Cindy going around the bongos. She's playing. She played all kinds of percussion. That's so cool.
Yeah, just all over the place, right?
They just, and that's what's so cool about them too, is they just picked anything up as they went. There was never a structure. There was never a, I'm the drummer,
Yeah.
so I can't do this. And Cindy wasn't like, oh, we need some bongos here. Okay, I'll learn how to play the bongos. Like they were so open to anything.
Even Keith was like, what does it say? Guitar player, drummer, fucking keyboard player. I'm like, when did you fucking play keyboard? You know.
He also he was credited on the artwork as a photographer. He was credited as photography. So I mean,
Keith Strickland.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know if he's like as far as other albums been involved in the art, but it's like a running theme we're seeing where like a lot of the bands. There's one person in the band that is like taking the art.
They have an idea of what their image is. They know what their sound is going to be from the get-go before they even came out, and they need to control this, and the only way they can control this is doing it themselves, I would think. So not letting the record label like take too much control when they go and they're going to make an album. They're like, no, this is how I want the album to look. These are the songs that I'm going to play. This is what I'm going to kind of go
They're
for.
actually involved in the like he's not the director. He's the photographer. Like he's credited as taking the actual person taking the photograph. I don't know what photograph exists in the cover because it's very weird, but he's credited.
What is those? It's like a record, and those are needles that are flipping out, or those record needles?
Maybe that's a good way. It's like a revolving, kind of spinning.
Oh yeah, we didn't mention that on that last song there.
Yeah, he
But-
took
You
this
have a
picture.
backwards track.
Picture of what?
But yeah, I mean, he's credited as photography, and then you have 2 art directors, and then a designer. So he's he's a big part of the art direction, as far as like being involved firsthand, and not just being like, I want this, and dictating everything. It's like, oh, I'm gonna take the picture actually, and I'm gonna
Right.
draw it out or whatever.
As far as it, like, that, I feel like that's a given. I was like, yeah, of course they're gonna, like, he's photographer taking control of like this image part, but is that the same when it comes to them in the studio? Like, are they like, is it like produced by the B-52's, or did they have like great producers behind them to create some of these great sounds?
They usually get good people, I think, behind them.
Yeah, we were talking about, well, the previous album. I didn't see any names that carried over to this album. They had Tony Mansfield be the main producer with Shep, Pettibone. He was the producer on the first 2 songs. So he actually just came in and did those 2, and then Tony Mansfield handled pretty much the rest of the album as far as production. They had multiple engineers, and then, assistant engineers, mixing, mastering, different people also. So it seems like this album was heavily influenced by Tony, and then the next album, which we were talking about, has all these big hits and stuff, was done by Nile Rodgers of Chic and kind of Daft Punk fame of more recently. So, that's why I think that album takes a different turn commercially and like sound wise.
This
one's-
the pop success, to really like get that. I wouldn't say mainstream sound, but someone like that producer.
Nile,
yeah. He obviously he knows how to write a pop song.
Right.
He comes from Chic, for God's sakes. You know what I mean?
Like they're and it kind of
hits.
fits. Like
Good hits.
Chic's
you know what I mean?
dancey, B-52's
Exactly,
are
yeah.
real dancey. So it kind of was like a natural collaboration between the two.
It's
It
like
seems
someone trying to rein in their weirdness to like try to like
Yeah.
make like
And
something really just poppy or like catchy.
I don't know who they wanted on this, but I know that they did end up with a producer that they didn't end up with their chosen one.
may have been Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Like
This
hey,
whole
we-
album's just weird.
Yeah.
It kind of was
Yeah.
just like they kind of were just like fuck it and just
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And that was like,
and that kind of sucks in some ways.
yeah, that.
some good songs.
If
I
this
mean,
is Ricky's last album, you know what I mean? And they were just like, I don't think it was their like.
I don't think he could contribute
intentions.
to it the way even he'd say he want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you can hear that. I mean, after knowing like who this guy was, you can hear that he wasn't able to do what he did on the previous albums. You know,
Right.
he was
This.
seriously ill.
I mean, this is like right after being done, like recording this album is when he passed away, right? Like.
Yeah, he didn't see it come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't
exactly.
see
it.
Still.
He had to record a lot of stuff with assistants as far as like other people coming in to help him. If that's setting up gear or actually like helping him set up to play, as far as just not being physically able to like.
Yeah.
Just go sit on the couch. We're gonna set everything up, get the guitar, and pass it to you, and you just need to perform. You know, that type of a situation where it's.
Well, that being said, like fucking Wiggs has some cool guitar parts. Like it's just what is it, acoustic? I don't know.
Yeah, there's multi-layered guitars and.
It's really fun part. It's very upbeat and it kind of gives you that, like, oh right, this is like his iconic style of like writing songs of just like. Again, I think of like that Rock Lobster where it's like, what? It's like, is it acoustic guitar? Like, he's a weird guy. And I hated that this had to be it and nothing came from this album because it was kind of just thrown away, pushed off to the side.
And that's what's fucked up about Warner Brothers too, is that really though,
I mean,
because
yeah, this
you can understand why the B-52's would say, we can't promote this right now. We're grieving a family member, and Warner Brothers pushed back with, oh, okay, well then we're not going to promote it.
And you're done.
So it got nothing.
Yeah.
So it would just be like an agreement where they'd be like, we're not going to go on Good Today to play this music right now. We can't. And then they go, okay, cool. Well, I don't think we're going to really try to get any airtime for you guys then.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
fucked up.
It's like Warner Brothers just took all that money that they used to record this and just threw it away themselves just because the B-52's were like, they were like, oh, really? You're not going to do your job as a band? It's like, dude.
Yeah, that's contracts are fucked up.
Fucking Cindy's brother learning it 3 days prior before him passing away. It all has to rock. They're like just put you in a fucked up mindset, right? And where do you go now from here in this band, the B-52's, when he was a huge part of this? Like they're all a big part, but he was like one of the main. You know what I mean?
If you really have two founders, it's him and Keith, really.
So where do we go after this? You know, how do we keep going and doing this without him in some ways? But I think that's why he did this album, this last hurrah, to like show you like, dude, you should keep doing this because this can't keep going no matter what, with or without me. Like, if this keeps going, then I live on in a way.
Man.
You think?
Yeah.
You know?
Like the conversations he must have had with Keith Strickland. You like the only other guy that for years knows about it, and he's teaching his music. For what other reason? You know, would he be
Fucking
doing
poor
it?
Keith has to like hold that
And
secret
live
in
with
too.
that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like I could see the band being pissed at him for like knowing and not saying anything.
What do you, man? That's a hard place. To be.
Yeah.
Holy
what,
cow.
What the fuck is the right or wrong thing? And fuck Warner Brothers for that reason. They're
Yeah,
still
right.
dicks to
Isn't-
this day,
right?
to be
That's-
honest.
They didn't work with them on their next album.
Yeah.
Dude, Warner Brothers will fucking pull something off YouTube quick as shit. Like Soulfly, Soulfly was underneath their fucking record label for a long time, and they would their album would come out, a fan would put it up on YouTube, and I'd be like, oh, cool, I can listen to it because it's not on fucking Spotify yet. And boom, taken off. Like, just immediately pulled off. Like, Warner Brothers ain't playing no fucking games.
Warner Brothers got a pretty big library of like, if you look at like the artists, or not even the artists, just the labels that they've accumulated. Like Warner Brothers is the main umbrella, and then there's like Def Jam and like all the all American, all these little labels that you're like, oh, that's a big label. Warner Brothers has them in the vice grip. You know what I mean?
And Warner Brothers is just a subsidiary company of like their movie studios, right? Like their whole like the fucking the cable. There's like two fucking different types of cable, right?
Oh, you mean like Viacom type thing?
Where like, well, you get two different cable boxes.
Right, what is
yeah,
that?
there's like there's a I'm forgetting right now.
Like everything
but,
just stems down from like
but
this one
it's
major.
Time Warner Cable, isn't that
Yeah,
owned by the
Time
same
Warner,
company?
yeah.
That's like this huge, massive thing that owns things like fucking soda companies and like makes movies that you don't even know. Like made the fucking Batman movies, you know? Same people that made fucking Van Halen's first album, you know? You saw that Warner Brothers stamp,
that
like of their
little
movie
WW,
symbol stamp on their CDs at times. Whereas like this is just a huge fucking record label, and this was 1980s, and this is when record labels were making a ton of money. So you don't want to do something, go fuck yourself,
Yeah,
and that's
we
how they
don't
would totally
need
feel.
you.
Yeah, definitely don't need you.
I mean, especially like right now it's
Fucking Warner
86. You
we
probably
own
like
movies.
on the cusp of the end of hair metal, right? That's like what is selling. That's Poisons, your Motley Crues, that's what's in right now.
Well, and then on the other side is all the pop music that's coming out, you know, in the
When
80s.
in the
Right,
80s, yeah, 80s
So-
pop,
Yeah,
yes.
like Michael Jackson blowing
Madonna's
up,
and stuff.
Madonna,
So
Prince.
B-52's kind of like getting shoved under the rug as far as like, you know, maybe if this album would have came out 3 years prior, 6 years prior, maybe it might have been radio. Like you might have had these songs on the radio because nothing else is sounding like that.
Just
at
mainly in the
time.
clubs, and it was really the only time anyone ever heard these songs, and this is what it kind of said was, it was like radio disc jockeys that would really take the time and set forth to be like, because the studio never sent them the fucking album and be like, here, you have to play this, because they went through this whole whatever, just being childish about it. But some people, disc jockeys, and you know, this is how like a lot of people heard music back in the day, were disc jockeys. They would go out their ways. These are super fans. These are the people that brought music to the masses. We need people like this. They're like, dude, you have to hear this. I don't care if no one else is talking about it. Like, this is good. You should check it out. And that's kind of the only time this album had any really airplay at all, was just a fucking radio disc jockey fan that went out of his way to buy this album and play it on his radio station for his own
College
time.
radio.
Yeah.
It's heartwarming, but
Yeah.
it's not paying the bills.
Yeah.
No, and it's
Like
so
a
weird.
great way to get heard.
Yeah, and no success at this point, really. Like, this is not really a big band at this point, at this album. It was not till later on when they finally hit, like, Love
That's when they
Shack
really had the
in
commercials.
Rome, right?
Yeah, that's when they got, like,
Yeah.
they reached that next level.
They crushed it in the 90s, though. I think
Man,
what they
their lives
missed out,
changed.
what they missed out in the 80s because they had to start off and work so hard to become this band because they're weird and wacky and no one would give them the fucking time of day.
Yeah.
And they had to sit there for grind for 10 years and have 4 fucking albums actually from the studios produced on labels and no one giving a shit. And then finally fucking 10 years later, like really blowing up and everyone knows who the B-52's are. You know, they were in the fucking Flintstones because it's like, they were everywhere.
They're like an
Today
iconic
they're
band,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Today they were part of like
Yeah.
our social like icons
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like everyone
They're
knows
like
the
social
B-52's.
commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who they are now.
And even like not to, but even on that, like the fashion side of it, like I'm so obsessed with that because that is for people to unintentionally start trends and change the way other people dress and do it by going to thrift stores and actually spending $2 on a pair of pants.
Yeah.
Fuck, that is so cool.
Crazy
It
glasses.
was
What?
yeah, it was
Yeah.
very smart to like really set the part and like I feel like these are the type of people, this is who they are like as people. So to do this in the band just comes second nature to them, but no one else is doing that. No one else is sitting there like dressing up and putting on this type of show where
A show.
yeah, that's,
Yeah.
it really is more it's almost better to watch. This is one of those bands that like to watch them play live is like fuck, this is even better than listening to the albums because you can see and feel their energy because they dance on stage the entire time.
And you
They're
never get the
working
same
their ass
show.
off, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're sweating. I know Fred's sweating the entire show. I've seen him just bleeding through his shirts. No wonder he has so many costume changes. Just killing it up there. But yeah, I feel like they crushed in the 90s because of all those music videos that I know of like after this album and up.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so many of them. And you can, this is kind of like where they kind of like figured out a little bit of their sound, I think. What songs like the first song we listened to, Girl from
Ipanema.
Ipanema, that kind of has that same feel of like the next album's coming.
You know,
Yeah.
she sings. Man, the differences on these albums are so subtle, but like she was so punk rock before this. Like she screamed, and you could hear her like voice curl a little bit, and like you know, and here she's so much more like not getting into Kate's territory, but lyrical with it, and like. Healthy, you might even say.
Yeah.
You know, like singing healthier, but it really changes how they sound. Like, it's like a milder tone. Like, it's just a.
I'm pretty sure she got to a point, Cindy, like if you're not doing it right, you're gonna really fucking hurt your vocal cords. And yeah, I'm sure she was like, after touring, you're like, oh, I'm doing this wrong, and then someone having to show you,
Great
right?
live. It's so cool.
And I guess, yeah, getting that training on something where you have this unique talent already, you're born with this kind of thing, but learning how to control it, taking it to the next level on later on albums to really like even on this album, you were saying like on Wigs, I guess, it was like
Very
just hitting the fucking highest notes,
Crazy
right?
high.
Super high. Where it's
That might have been Kate.
fucking,
That's what it's like.
we don't know until you
But
see them play it live.
We're not,
and that's
exactly.
it.
That's it.
We
Right.
didn't get any
Yeah.
live of this album, so
Didn't know there wasn't a bass
even
player.
now I don't think they.
Right.
I think they only
That's
played
cool,
2
though.
songs, or 2 or 3 songs maybe from this album live. I read like they don't. It did not tour the album, so
No.
I mean, if you are a fan of our next tune or the one before it or whichever, you know, these besides Girl and I think Summer of Love, I think those are the only 2 they play live.
I just feel like
You
I
know
could
what I
be
mean?
in a roller skate rink just listening to that song, right? Just going around in a circle. I don't know. It just feels like we're living in this day and age of like DJs, right? And fucking to find more dance music, you have to like go and search and deep cut, and it's like fucking B-52's. That's a lot. You could
A lot
just
of deep
go and
cuts.
play some of those
Yeah.
fucking B-sides, yeah, those deep cuts where you're just like shit, man, you know, this is awesome. Because no one likes to hear the same thing over and over again. And that's when I started to like, I feel like I start to learn this because when DJs play at my work, it's always like, we hear the same fucking songs. It's like, you have to play these handful of songs, right?
Songs people don't know, but are still really good.
Yeah.
Like,
and if you want to go with something a little bit weirder, kind of like find something new, like fucking B-52's are a perfect example of where you can find some of that stuff and just get some deep cuts. I really feel like people just want to hear something different and don't want to hear the same thing. Why, like, I could put on metal sometimes in a place where it's not a lot of metalheads, but they're just like, fuck, thank you for changing the music, because I'm just so tired of hearing the same, like, if we put on hip hop radio, it's like the same Biggie Smalls songs and like Tupac songs just over and over again, you know? And same thing with like a lot of the just Pandora radio stations, they're just gonna give you the hits, you know what I mean? But if you kind of fuck with their algorithm and you kind of, exactly. If you kind of fuck with them and do something like the B-52's, it really makes, it gets Pandora confused because they don't know where to place them.
They don't know what.
So you're starting to get a little bit of everything. You can get stuff from like some of those punk rock bands in those times, like the Wipers and stuff, will pop in to a B-52's playlist, as well as like disco songs. And I'm just at a loss for like some of the pop songs in this time frame of the B-52's that I constantly hear all the time, but those will pop in. But you also get like fucking a Lou Reed song or an Iggy Pop
like
song.
ABBA.
They just because they're that type of band that dabbles on two ends, like being someone that can be super pop and dancey and commercially like well heard by critics or whatever, at the same time being weird and wacky and, you know, just kind of doing whatever they want, and nothing is very traditional about how they started this at all. But you can, and most people first time listening, again, how I started this was like, just sounds like a normal like disco band to me, dance band, but like watching those videos and stuff like that, you're like, whoa, there's something way more to this. And I just fucking love the name. It does give you that whole, because it's like a bomber, right? The B-52 bomber.
Yeah, it's the slang term for their wigs. That's what.
That's what they said.
No, that's real. Yeah, that's what those like big beehive wigs are called. B-52's.
Are you serious? Oh.
Yeah.
that's cool.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
And he was like, I heard it in a dream. It's like, no, you got it because you wore wigs, and we just listened to that song, Wigs.
Did it go the other way around? What came first, the B-52 or the wig?
We were talking about that first A-side, B-side thing. One of the other songs was Girl 52, right?
52 Girls.
Yeah, 52 Girls.
Yeah,
So
It's a great song.
you were saying they, just before we like wrap up with this, but they have like these lyrics or these comments or jokes inside their songs.
All the time. They're always sticking something in there to like, and that's how you know they're super smart too, is like, but like one example is in 52 Girls, they use Abby, which is like, literally that's a list of girl names. It's just that's all they do. And Cindy and Kate, and it's a surf song, and they just list names. There's no sentence in the song. It's great. It's such a great song.
I have to listen to this.
It's
I can't
great.
believe I can't. So they say 52
One of
names?
them's and then there's a chorus, but yeah, that's it. And but they say Abby, and I looked it up because I was gonna name my wig Abby, and realized I couldn't because Abby is like a I don't know, it's like slander for like a surf chick, like an idiot though, not like a cool surf chick, like a
stereotypical
sorority
like
girl,
yeah,
like that kind of
see,
girl.
like,
And so like Cindy and Kate have like, they put little gems in there where they're like, no, we're cool girls. We're talking about like
these are
girls.
farm girls that grew up, and I'm sure like them going to school, everyone's like, you're weird, get away
art
from me.
kids, you know.
And they're like, just have this weird little like, sense about them. They're like, fuck you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we know.
Like you said, they're punk rock, and that's kind of where their headset or mindset is. And I could see them just being like, tacky bitches, you know.
Have you seen their old shows? Like their first ones where it's black and white and it's hazy and you can like almost not even see what's going on. Like old.
I've seen some of those videos.
They're so punk rock. There's nothing about them that isn't.
Yeah,
you know what I
they're
mean?
kind of like just
It's
thrashing
really
it.
how they started. I don't know. It's
cool.
interesting because it's so different from where they ended up.
out in the middle of a farm.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I feel like they just moved in with the times and like found
grew
this.
up.
Yeah.
It's a 40-year-old band.
Because like Iggy Pop kind of got going in that way as well with these kind of like dancier songs and synthesized songs.
He
That
did a duet
song
with
he
Kate.
did. Didn't he do a song?
He
with
did a
Kate?
duet with Kate.
Yeah,
Candy.
exactly. Oh, so that's okay. That makes sense because I can't hear that song once without dude. It's stuck in my head for a month, dude. I'm thinking about it right now, and it's gonna fuck me up to be honest
Yeah,
because
there's
it's
something
just
about it that's
candy,
like-
candy, candy, candy.
I
It's like,
know.
oh my god.
There's like the spoken monologues.
Well, now that makes sense because I didn't even realize that or know, or maybe I did and not even think about it. But I was like, yeah, from that punk rock kind of getting into these like actually singing songs and just good songs. And it was like, oh yeah, because fucking Kate was there. It's like, oh, okay. That makes sense now. But Iggy Pop went on a journey just like anyone else, musicianly. And
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, kinda
what person
changed.
doesn't grow up?
yeah, or
music's gonna
band's, yeah, it has to change. And I don't know, maybe it's so good because we don't have like those dick holes like how we do nowadays where they're like, man, it's not like those first two albums and they fucking totally change after that, fucking sellouts. I don't think the B-52's ever had anyone that was like, I really like their older stuff, but their newer stuff ain't so great. I don't think that. I mean, I'm sure neither any of y'all think that. I should probably get into more of those 80s or 90s albums to really confirm my suspicions of what I'm saying.
Cosmic Thing, man, that album is good, beginning to end.
Oh man, I don't know what I'm waiting for. I got to do it.
Yeah.
The band is good, beginning to end.
Yeah. Any last comments you guys want to make about this? I mean, I could sit here and gush all day. I just want to get up and start dancing. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's like we were saying, underappreciated album. Kind of got swept under the rug. Definitely check it out if you're even into the band at all, because there's probably a gem or two you'll find.
Yeah. Something
So,
you haven't heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely check the band out if you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we all kind of are familiar with their hits, but like, go listen to their full albums. 'cause
Yeah, watch some
they
of
were
those
such
fucking
cool
music videos.
songwriters.
Those are
Watch
the
those
best.
videos.
Yeah. And like I was trying to find out what album you guys were talking about, so I was like going through and I was like clicking on them, and it was all June.
Oh wow.
I know.
Every album's in June. Besides for this one. So if we keep doing these episodes June, we're gonna have to do all their albums, or we're gonna have to pick one.
Knock them out.
I don't fucking know. Manson's the same way. He
Yeah.
pulled out the two, fucking Antichrist and Coma. So it's like, what do we do?
Pick one.
Pick one. Yeah, just pick one. But Dee, thank you for coming and doing this
Thank you.
because
This is so fun.
that's what it's all about.
So
It's
fun.
like the superfan opinion, like really,
dives.
Yeah.
just having that feel of like, if someone listening to this has that same feel that like we do about this band, they'll be taken genuinely warm and just kind of like, I'm not the only one that feels that way about this band. It's like, yes, be happy and like listen to some B-52's. Like, just, you want to take your mind off some shit? B-52's. Just dance this mess around. Just fucking, you don't.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with politics, nothing. So we're just going to end it on one more song, and we were in so much conflict on what songs we really wanted. But Chris, this is one of your favorite songs on
Juicy
here?
Jungle. It's got a lot of guitar work. The tone is really sick on the guitar, and it just showcases, I think, if it is.
I think it's
Ricky-
Fred's song.
It's
Fred
Fred.
wrote this song. I think.
If it's Ricky's playing, it's one of the last showcases of it. So,
But doesn't make you want to dance.
oh yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that's okay. Then yeah, let's play it. Thanks, y'all. Please follow us on all the social medias. We have a YouTube page that has so much good stuff. It's just BANGover Productions. Type it in. Not too many people have this name. You can find us on Instagram at BANGover Productions and Facebook as well. BANGover Productions is very easy, y'all. Come on, give us a like. Listen to these episodes. Thank you so much.
Millions of trees. Don't chop them down. See them growing for miles around. I like the rain clouds. I like the heat. as long as I know that it's gonna grow. As long as I know